Sito Yelas.
Next Sunday.
You have to be there. Honestly, yesterday I was very upset with the weather. So the mayor called me and he says, don't worry, tomorrow it's going to be beautiful. I don't know what you think. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to start with the Farmago, with the children of the Hellenic American Academy and everybody else.
Holy Mazi.
Good morning, everybody. 6:02 a.m. Welcome to the Dawn Patrol. I'm Evelyn Thoren. I'm your host. My co-host Sam Chase is here. Bob Hoey isn't with us this morning. And we do have a guest. Vivian Merrill's coming in at 7 o'clock.
Do you want to rephrase that?
What?
Bob Hoey is not with us?
Well, he's not in the building.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
He-
You know, we
Bob is-
can honor the empty seat.
He's very much alive.
Yes. Oh, yeah, he's
Okay.
very much alive.
Hey,
Yes.
how did you Chenfordians find the weather this morning?
Chilly.
Windy?
No, it was chilly.
Just chilly.
In fact, my hands are still cold.
You don't have a heated steering wheel?
No, wouldn't that be nice? Heated steering
I
wheel?
don't have remote start either.
No, I don't have that either.
I do, but I never use it.
No, it's just one of those things. So, anyway, so
I love
if
mine.
Bob's listening, good morning, Bob. We hope you have a great day. Hope everything else is good. And we'll see how that all goes. Chelmsford does have, I know that we're not on in Chelmsford, but this is also, as far as I know, aired in Chelmsford on Sunday.
Yes.
We do have an election next week, and make sure that you, even though there's not a lot of competition within the local election in Chelmsford, make sure that you do vote. Your vote can definitely count. We knew that one year when my husband Glenn ran for town meeting rep, and he lost by one vote. Then we found out that a member of our family didn't vote, and we
That
made
person was in trouble.
well, they felt bad. And then Glenn did his own little thing, and that was the time where I resigned so Glenn could take my spot, and then I came back, and I don't know, all kinds of different juggling with what you can and cannot do.
And 2 years ago, one of our selectmen, Aaron Drew, she won by one vote.
Yeah,
That's-
and that was in a recount.
And that was a recount. That was a selectman's
So
race.
your vote does
Yes,
count.
it does.
We don't have much competition on the select board. We
When
do
was
on
your election?
Tuesday.
Oh.
April 1st.
Yep, April Fool's Day.
Tewksbury's right behind you guys.
Yeah, so there are other local spring elections. I know that Lowell does it in November every 2 years. We have an election every April, and there's a rotation on the respective boards of 3 years. But is the Housing Authority 5?
Housing Authority is 5 years.
Yeah.
That's the difference. The rest of the boards are 3 years.
Yep, so, and there's a lot of, there's not a lot of competition out there. There is on school committee, and so, you can take a look at that, and John Moses who is on the Chelmsford School Committee, will be our guest next Thursday. He also is hosting on that Thursday, I think it's April 3rd, at the Chelmsford Center for the Arts, another Afghan, what do you want to call it, like a meet and greet type of thing, because he does have a 501c3 in order to help Afghan refugees. And there's a lot of information that's there, legitimate information, And you want to make sure that you do your research on any and all information that's out there. There's a lot of false stuff going on, a lot of stuff made up. It's just crazy as to what goes on. Now, one of the things that I did send out, we'll talk about Chelmsford again because Vivian is from Chelmsford. She wears a lot of different hats.
Evelyn, the audience knows the sun rises on one side of Chelmsford and sets on the other.
Well, it does in Lowell, too.
No, the sun rises over Tewksbury and sets over Tewksbury
Oh,
for this show.
I don't care.
I know.
That means we're in
understand
the
that.
middle. That means we're in the middle,
I
right?
try to focus a little bit more on Chelmsford on Thursdays, but we do talk about what's going on in Lowell and a lot of stuff that's going on in the world
Right
besides
now,
just local.
Lowell's not watching, neither is Chelmsford.
It doesn't matter. This is recorded, and when it goes on in Chelmsford, somebody may be watching it at the beginning.
I hope so.
So we'll see. If you are, you should really text John and say, I watch it on Sundays in Chelmsford. You can see at the bottom of your screen, there's a telephone number, 978-808-8200. And if you are on Facebook, you always can send a message, and we'll pick that up.
But
and
also at the very
we can
bottom of the
respond.
screen, you can see where we're on in Drake, Tewksbury, and Tewksbury live right now.
Right.
The other two towns are still in bed. Chelmsford's still in bed.
We're still in bed.
Lowell's still in bed.
That's someplace that would have been nice to be this morning.
They don't get up till 7 o'clock, I guess, right?
Yeah, there's, it's just been very, what would you call it? Intense.
Hey, did either one of you characters hear anything about the closing of Route 3? I'm sorry, closing of Gorham Street in Chelmsford for 3 years meeting last night?
I knew the meeting was taking place. In fact, I talked yesterday afternoon to an abutter, okay, somebody who will be directly affected by that, and she told me about the meeting. They had a meeting at the police station meeting room last night, and apparently the meeting was initiated by the Department of Transportation. It wasn't people in the town, and she was trying to get one of our state reps to attend the meeting. I don't know if she was successful. I mean, I was thinking of going, but then I didn't. I had some other things I had to do, so I can't report on the results of it. But I'm going to guess that people are not happy.
No, they're not.
Because we're talking about a
3 years.
yeah,
is the deal.
significant amount of time.
What are they gonna do?
I could see a month
They're redoing the bridge.
at the speed of government.
And we can talk about that a little bit, but it is going to impact the residents in the area. And there are several side streets off of Gorham, and they're very narrow. And one of the concerns that the residents have is that people who are working on the project have to have some place to put their cars and so forth, and some of the equipment. And if it's done on these side streets, then that's going to restrict access and so forth. And a lot of these streets are very narrow. So there are a lot of concerns. I don't know. I'll follow up and see what happened last night, whether or not one or more of our state reps was present. I don't know.
From what I'm understanding, they're going to put up traffic lights where traffic lights never existed before. Carlisle, the bridge, there's going to be a traffic light on Carlisle.
Carlisle
Street, yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to be
That's going to be interesting because
PIA.
that's an interesting intersection that you're talking about there. So
Have they had accidents there?
oh yeah.
Well, that's why they're putting a light.
Yeah, there's two blind.
No, they're putting a light because of the increased traffic flow.
There are two.
All the Gorham Street traffic is going to go over Carlisle.
Yeah, but there are two other. There are two blind corners there. It's not a very safe intersection to begin with, and if you increase the traffic flow, it's going to be worse, obviously.
Good point.
It's kind of interesting.
So
But
that's
they
a
have
big-
to, but they're fixing the bridge.
Well, they have to.
Now, when they fix
But why
the,
are they taking 3 years?
I have no idea. It took a long time to do the one that was on Hunt Road.
There's
lot of
another
it-
bridge in Chelmsford they're going to
A
close
lot of
too
it.
for
A
3
lot of it
years.
is the. Because we're old enough to remember the old days when apparently nobody cared about the environment. A lot of this stuff is regulatory because of environmental concerns. When I was a kid, it took 6 weeks to do something, and now that same project takes 7 or 8 months. And a lot of it is because of all of the regulations that have developed in the last 50 years have slowed construction down tremendously. You know, the EPA, I think, is a real gating factor on those things. So,
Well, when you have the bridge, it depends also, when you say about that, the environmental concerns is whether or not the bridge that's over on Gorham Street, anywhere along there, there's any water or wetlands.
Right.
Now, on Hunt Road, there isn't, that I can recall. And that took quite a while to do,
Yeah.
but they kept it open. So you had one-lane traffic.
That-
So they did one side of the
Yeah.
bridge, and then they did the other side of the bridge, which is very nicely done, at least
at least you could
cosmetically.
yes, but and at least you could still use the road.
And usually that's what they do, but if you have
Yeah.
narrow roads, sometimes that won't work because of the layout. It could be the way, I'm not making excuses, I'm just kind of putting other information out there for people to understand. It doesn't mean I'm supporting what they're doing either. But depending upon how the bridge was originally constructed, that could be why they'll take the whole bridge down and then
Yeah.
rebuild it, and make sure that there's no issues for it to
Which is what I thought.
have a problem.
Yeah, the Hunt Road thing. And again, I'm not going to criticize it because I'm not a construction engineer. This is not my area, but it did seem to take a long time.
Yeah.
And relative to what they did, okay? I mean, I don't really know, so I can't be critical. But
Plus the Hunt,
did
does
take a
the
while.
Gorham Bridge go over 3?
No, it goes over 495.
495.
495, okay. So the Hunt Road Bridge also goes over 495. And then, and then there's the bridge on Route 4 that goes over 495 out of the center of Chelmsford. What's that, Westford Street? That's a mess. So
Oh,
maybe-
that's awful.
That's really
awful.
bad.
Yeah.
I think more traffic goes there than Gorham, but I don't know that. So, I didn't do any studies on it, and I haven't done any research, but, I mean, I
That's a
use that
That's
bridge.
a fairly heavily, for a residential type road, that is fairly heavily
Well,
traveled.
people use it to avoid the center.
It's a cutoff, right, or a cut through, I guess they call it, yeah.
Well, anyway, that's the traffic. Is there any more on traffic that you would like
So,
to report?
I'm sorry I didn't go to that meeting. I wish I had.
Well, there's a bunch of stuff that I didn't go to. There
Yeah.
was a debate.
Question from the audience, how many school buses will be affected? I
That's a
think
good question.
the guy's making a joke, but the Gorham Street Bridge, very few. Because you're passing to a different town line.
That's true. That's a good point.
So the
Yep.
school buses, the Lowell school buses won't be affected because they don't go over that bridge, and
That's
neither
right.
will the Chelmsford school buses.
That's exactly right.
But it is an interesting question to ask, because you don't know if in those side
But
streets.
most of the people who use Gorham Street and go over 495 have no idea this is going to happen. And the government couldn't care less. The government has a meeting with earplugs. They didn't want to hear any input last night. They just want to tell you what's going to happen, and that's it.
Well, what they're doing is they are performing a part of what the law states they have to do, and they have to notify abutters, and then they have to have a public hearing.
Right.
And then they close the public hearing, and then they do whatever they want. Basically, that's how most of the stuff works, if you, watch
Well-
anything going on within each of the respective
One
towns.
of the problems is, and you just described it a little bit, legally is a public notification process, but traditionally that's done via the printed media. So nobody buys a newspaper anymore. And so a lot of people, 50 years ago, everybody read the newspaper and they would know. But now, nobody reads the paper, and the notices are still published in the paper. And
Well, how would you tell
so you have-
today's general public, we're going to close the bridge?
I guess you have to put it out on social media, right? Isn't that the way people get their news today? I
Or a
don't know.
letter.
No, you put a big freaking sign on Gorham Street and say, we're closing this bridge.
Well, that's the best way, because that will cover a lot of people that don't
Yeah.
live in that
Like in
area.
Lowell, they used to, I don't know what we do now because we're,
That doesn't-
we have a
Over budget,
different
won't we?
manager that manages different things mysteriously. They used to put a sign on a tree, we're going to cut this tree down. And people would moan to their city council, oh, I love that tree, I met my girlfriend there. And that's how I just think a sign on the bridge, good-sized sign, we're going to close this bridge. Okay, from the audience. It's going to take 3 years because our government. The important question is, how much over budget will it be? That's from Jay.
I guess the question is, how much is it going to cost initially?
Yeah,
I
right.
call it the speed of government.
Right. Well, maybe it's something we can look up relative to that. But
Yeah, I don't know much about it, so I'll try to bring myself up to speed before next week on that issue.
did you watch the Democratic Town Committee debate, Sam?
I watched a little of it, and the reason I didn't watch the whole thing is because I have already interviewed all the candidates, and I didn't think I'd learn anything new.
Okay.
So, you know, I've already talked to all of them. But the little bit that I did watch, I watched the school committee portion of it, and it was pretty much, again, what they said on my show. And
So what kind of questions did they ask?
well, they asked the general question. Oh, they always ask, "Why are you running?" Okay, that's
I
all,
wanna
always
pay
the
back
question.
the town.
That's right. That's right.
No,
You
no,
know,
I want to give back. No, they never pay back. I want to give
I
back.
want to
to
give
the-
back to the town, and of course, you've got two incumbents that have been there for a while. So,
Well, I see, driving around Chelmsford,
Mm-hmm.
Pat Wojcik has a ton of signs out there.
well, she has a few. Yeah,
Yeah, I was pleased to see all that. There are a lot of people.
Yes,
like-
and there's no competition.
there's no competition.
Oh, what do you mean there's no competition? But
It's two people for two positions.
Yeah,
There's no competition for the select board.
oh, I wouldn't even put a sign out.
And then Jeff Hardy is running for the 2-year slot that was left by George Dixon. So, and he didn't have any competition
No
either.
competition.
That's
And
good. Good
then
for Jeff.
he left his.
I know Jeff because he makes the cement things that go on
He
the
has.
ground. of the
He has
cemetery.
makes the vaults. Jeff has, in my opinion, Jeff has the best sign. I like his sign. Red, white, and blue. You can't beat it. He's got the best colors.
Beautiful.
Okay, yeah.
And then he was on the cemetery commission, along with Candy, and then Nancy Souza, because it's
Still
a
isn't.
three-person.
Still is until
Just
April
want to get
1st.
this text out of the way.
On a different note, I guess it's good, at least something is getting done. Yeah, somebody's.
What's wrong with the bridge?
It's falling apart.
So they say.
Oh, I think probably it is. The bridges in Massachusetts, most of them are in terrible condition.
There was another article that I don't know that I forwarded you that said that because of all of the electric vehicles, there's less people buying gasoline, so there's less taxes going into fixing the roads.
Yep.
That's a lie. You could sit there, put your beach chair down at your main street, count how many electric cars go by, count how many gasoline cars go by.
No, I gotcha.
There's probably
And don't you find it very,
3 out of 100 cars are electric.
but don't you find it very highly ironic that all of the individuals and particular party, political party in this country that was talking about, oh, we got to go to electric vehicles and all the other stuff, now they're burning them and telling you not to
Yep.
buy them? So apparently it wasn't an issue.
Those are the blue underwear Democrats that are red hot mad, sore losers,
Underwear Democrats.
and they're going to be resisting for years. And all I say is, the lame duck only has 3 years and 11 months to go.
That's it.
And I start off with the lame duck, and they love that. They leave it up, they don't delete it. The lame duck only has 3 years,
That's why he's
11
moving
months.
so fast. And hopefully he doesn't make too many mistakes. We'll talk about that shortly, as far as with the,
As far as the electric vehicles are concerned, and John is right, I mean, as a percentage of the total vehicles, it's small. However, the fact still remains that if you drive an electric vehicle, you are not paying the road tax, okay, because you're not buying gasoline.
That's
All
I'm
right.
paying excise tax. What's that for?
that
may-
comes back to the towns.
That goes back to the town. So every vehicle, if you own any kind of a vehicle, you pay excise.
And I'm
And
paying
it's
for
not
my,
earmarked.
my electricity to charge my wife's car.
But well, you know, I don't have to tell you this because you know.
Maybe the audience doesn't, though.
When you buy gasoline, there is a tax on the gasoline that goes,
Really, it's not itemized.
supposedly goes to.
Why don't
the
they
maintenance.
itemize gasoline?
They could.
Well, why don't they? They do on the electric bill. They have the delivery charge, they have the wrench charge, they have the sleeping
Yeah,
charge.
but that's not how that's set up.
No.
But why
it's-
did they make the electric companies do it? They have the.
Well, I'll tell you,
well, it's-
because I remember when that happened, and people were angry, because because rates were going up, and a lot of it did not relate to the cost of gas or electricity. It related to the distribution, the middleman costs, and people were blaming the utility for the cost of the electricity. It wasn't the amperage charge that was going up, it was the delivery cost. So the utility company said, okay, we're going to start itemizing the bill so that the customers can see which of the charges are going up. That's why it got started, okay?
So I, I think that this might be of interest.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have a calculator as I do this.
All right, I'll pull my calculator out. Give me the numbers. What do you want?
In Massachusetts, the state gas tax is 24 cents per gallon of gasoline or
That sou-
diesel,
That sounds right.
collected by wholesalers and added to the price at the pump.
Right.
In addition to the federal gas tax of 18.3 cents per gallon. Here is a more detailed breakdown. State gas tax, 24 cents. This is all per gallon.
All right, 24.
Yep, federal gas tax, 18.3.
18. Okay. Call it 18.
So you have, that ends up being 42.3?
Yeah, 42 cents of your gasoline charge is federal and state tax, right, okay,
Then depending upon, you can't add this to it, but depending upon how much gas you buy,
yeah.
then you also have a 6.25% tax, state tax on it.
Another state tax?
What's that for, does it say?
It's a sales tax.
Oh, sales, oh, right, okay, sales tax, right, all right, so now you're up to 48, or almost 49 cents.
And then there's a motor carrier tax. The motor carrier tax is levied on each gallon of gasoline and special fuels acquired outside and used within the Commonwealth, and is levied at a rate of 24 cents. So that's another 24 cents.
All right, so 49 plus 24, wait a minute, excuse me, 49 plus 24 is 73 cents.
Well, you're getting close to a buck, because when you do the 6.25, you got to put that on top of,
Okay.
let's say it's $3 a gallon, so that's $1.80, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So most
So-
of the money that you're paying in gas is tax.
So what you're saying, and so the people who, all right, this is a good,
This is an interesting
this is a good
exercise.
reason, this is a good reason for people to drive electric cars, isn't it? Because if they drive an electric car, they're not going to pay those taxes. Is that right? That's what I'm getting out of this,
Well,
right?
if you don't buy gas, you don't pay any of those
Exactly,
taxes.
all right, so if
So you have a different
if
charge.
you have an electric vehicle, you're avoiding all these taxes. That might be an incentive to buy an electric car.
So the state,
So let's say every time, let's say on an average, let's say you use 20 gallons a week, all right?
What was
So-
the grand total of?
Well, we're going to round it up to 75 cents.
at least.
All right, so let's say you use 20 gallons a week, that's times 52, so that's 1,040 gallons a year times .75. That's $780 in taxes that you will pay a year. So $780 is enough money to figure into your calculation about what kind of a vehicle you're going to buy. So maybe that's an argument in favor of buying an electric vehicle. I don't know. What do you think? That's a lot of money.
Yeah, but, John, had you ever calculated the difference in your electric bill before a car and after a car?
Between the
When
different...
we go in, when we're on the road and we have to go to one of these supercharger stations, and the car tells you that here's the closest supercharger station. It's $12 to go 300 miles. $12 of electricity
That's cheaper than
gets
gasoline.
gets
Yeah,
my wife
You're
car
saving money.
300 miles.
Yeah, you're saving money on that.
I think 330.
So the most expensive state for state taxes is California.
California, right.
But our audience thinks that it's called Taxachusetts for a reason.
Well, aren't you glad you don't live in California?
And then page 2, the manufacturing of electric vehicles is not exactly environmental friendly. You have to dig for the lithium with carbon-fueled vehicles.
That's true.
I think there's a lot of pieces to all of this
Right.
because then you also have to have a source of
Have you
electricity.
seen them search for oil? How do they get oil?
They have a drill that goes straight down,
they
and they're
dig.
not scraping the surface.
You ever see all the vehicles that are involved with
Oh,
that?
yeah, no.
Oh,
it's-
yeah, I'm not
it's-
questioning that.
It's very energy
It's not
intensive.
environmentally friendly.
No, nothing is.
Well, some things are a lot more environmentally friendly than it was at the turn of the last
Oh,
century.
God, yes, well,
Jeez.
coal is a good example. So if you look at the coal industry, what we're doing here in the United States versus what they do in other countries, it costs us more money to produce coal, partly because of the regulations that are imposed. So the production of coal today is a lot cleaner than it was even 40 or 50 years ago. And it's a lot cleaner than it is in countries, in places like Asia, China, and and Russia that produce coal. So the energy that we produce today in the United States, because of the processes that are used, it's a lot cleaner process. It's not totally clean. Yes, there's some environmental problems, but it's a lot cleaner than it was even 40 or 50 years ago. So,
Now,
but the electricity thing is interesting. So it's $12 to go 300 miles. So that is, you're saving money on fuel, okay? So it's cheaper to fuel your electric car on a per mile basis, based on what John just said, than it is to fuel your gasoline car. I think the problem people have is the amount of time. So if you're getting $12 worth of juice for your electric car, John, how long does it take to do that?
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
20 minutes for, and that'll give you 200 miles.
200 miles.
And it takes another 15 minutes to get it up.
All right. So
So
about
you're talking about 45 minutes.
40 minutes or so. That's not too bad.
Well,
Depends how
and
far
the only
you're
time
going.
that happens is when we go to New York. And so we stop in Connecticut, charge the car up, and we have a nice snack.
Well, there you go. You get out, you walk around, you have a cup of coffee, you know?
It says, look how many cruise ships are using fuel per day unless they have EV. Well,
I think
you're correct. The cruise lines, all the ships are electric. They generate their own electricity
well, they use
with oil,
exactly.
and the engines that make the propel the ship are electric.
Same thing
Just
with-
like locomotives you see
Same thing
in the
with
train
trains,
tracks.
right? Same thing with trains, right?
And that goes for aircraft carriers and everything else. It's electric engines.
That way they don't need transmissions.
And they use, the aircraft carriers use
Nuclear.
nuclear power
Well, correct.
to boil water to create steam.
Right,
So aircraft carriers are steam powered,
right,
but the propulsion system is electric,
yeah.
is my understanding.
And the reason they do that is because you don't need a transmission, like a diesel locomotive. There are no gears to shift. If you had a diesel or gas-propelled piston engine, you'd have to have a transmission and shift gears. So with an electric motor, it's continuous and the torque is continuous, so you don't need to have a transmission. It's a lot easier. The propulsion is a lot easier and simpler in an electric-driven vehicle than it is a piston engine-driven vehicle.
From what I understand, the aircraft carrier, they have the pitch of the blade that's in the water can be changed.
Yes, that's correct. It's
To
like
give it less, so the revolutions can't be controlled as much as
that is correct.
the pitch of the blade.
It's like a torque converter, transmission in an automobile. The blades change pitch. Yeah, it's the
So there is a little bit of a transmission in there.
same. Well,
What would you call that?
That's not a transmission.
That blade changer, what would you call that device?
it's torque multiplication. It's like a torque converter in an automobile. It's the same type of thing. So
Okay.
Is it belt driven?
no, they're generally
Gears?
gear driven, right?
So if you have the gears, You got to make sure
But it's a
that,
constant mesh. That you don't shift the gears like you do in an automobile transmission.
I don't
No, I
know,
got that
I don't know
part.
anything about electric engines. But I don't think there's
They're
any,
very simple.
I don't think there's any gears.
No, there isn't.
no, but you asked about a boat, and you asked about the propellers.
An electric motor is very simple. It's basically a magnet. That's what it is. You know, that's really what it is.
I find it all fascinating
Yeah.
anyway. And no pun intended, not to shift gears, but we can change the subject. One of the things that to ask you, Sam, is in watching like Forbes and all the other stuff. What is
I have a headache. Go ahead.
what is the take there on what the Democrats are calling a debacle with a breach of security with regard to whatever was going on in the Pentagon? I have an opinion about different things, but
Shouldn't have happened. Absolutely.
I agree with you.
100% should
However-
not have happened.
but I asked Sam what he was listening to, not on regular
Okay,
TV
I'll
like
wait
you-
for Sam's answer, sorry.
Yeah, it's John. It's only because you and I are probably listening to a different station.
Right.
I'm not listening to all those other stations.
I'm listening to.
and I'm getting pieces
I'm
of
listening to unfiltered, uncut, what people actually say.
And that's the only reason I asked him
Okay.
first.
Which takes a lot of time.
Okay, big bottle of wisdom, tell
Okay.
us what you found out.
Yeah.
I'm not any smarter than
Take
you
the-
are.
Take the cap off
I
that
am-
wisdom bottle.
I am no smarter than you are.
I understand that.
I'm just
Wisdom.
listening, okay? Well, I think the consensus is, you want me to synthesize it, or, I mean...
Whatever,
Just get it
however
out
you
there,
want to
Sam.
answer it.
Just get it out
The first thing, I think if you're going to have an opinion on this subject, okay, the first thing you need to do is actually read the article that Goldberg wrote in The Atlantic, which almost nobody does, but they have an opinion on it anyway, but that's all right. You're entitled to have an opinion. So the first thing is go up and get the Atlantic monthly article and read that, see what the guy actually said, okay? That's the first thing. So I did that, all right? And then watch the commentary on the on Forbes or CNN where they don't cut or filter, all right? And not CNN, C-SPAN, I'm sorry, not CNN. So it's pretty clear, to me anyway, and again, I don't know anything about this particular app, all right, that they're talking about. I'm not, that's not my area. But what I'm getting out of it is that the app that these guys talked on is inappropriate for the conversation they had. That's the first thing. And I think the administration has said that, okay? And Waltz has said, well, actually, he hasn't said we shouldn't have been on the app. They haven't said that. What he said was, I made a mistake having this reporter part of that conversation.
But
So-
I don't think he knew he was on it.
Well, I don't think he himself did it. One of his staff people did it, okay? But he says it's still my responsibility because, I initiated the chat.
Conversation.
So the consensus is that conversation should not have occurred on that platform, and certainly the reporter should not have been part of that conversation. And the other criticism is that nobody bothered to, when they saw the reporter who was identified by initials, JG, nobody questioned that, all right? The other thing is that the Atlantic, okay, has backed off a little bit from their original allegation. And the discussion that was had among these people, there is some question as to whether or not the information should be considered classified information or not, okay? There's some debate about that, and what people have to understand is in the classification system, there are several levels, okay? And
They want me to start a free trial, and I ain't gonna do that.
yeah, no, most people aren't going to do that. The other thing, which is not I think, really germane to the conversation is the Goldberg himself. Goldberg, and I find this fascinating, that somehow he got tied into this conversation because Goldberg is an enemy of the Trump administration.
Yes.
They don't like him at all. So I find it rather strange that, and again, I don't understand the Signal app. I don't know enough about it to really even talk about it, okay? But I just find it very, very strange that somebody like that, a sworn enemy of the Trump administration, would somehow find his way onto that, into that conversation. And one of the things that they're doing, and it's not being very widely reported, is they've got all the IT people looking at that conversation, trying to figure out how it was that he got included in that. Now, if it was a Waltz staffer that let him in, it would seem to me you'd want to take a look at that staffer.
Yeah, you can have a mole.
And exactly, you don't know. And so there's more information, I think, that needs to come out. But I think, even the most diehard Trump supporters have to say, look, these guys screwed up. They did. Hegseth screwed up. I think Hegseth gave too much information on that discussion for it to, whether it's technically classified or not. I still think his comments on a semi-secured platform were inappropriate. I think we need to admit that, okay? That conversation should not have occurred on that particular application.
You
All
got to
right?
keep a lot to yourself.
Sam, how much
right.
more is it than this? Is there a lot more than this?
Yeah, there is more. And the
'Cause I saw there was like 2 pages like this and that's it.
Well, the Atlantic, see, what happened was the Goldberg said, well, I'm not going to release the whole thing. And then they got into a conversation. I did watch the hearings. They had some hearings on this. And
Well, the hearings lately, Sam, are just one side bashing the other.
pretty much, and that's usually what they are anyway. But what you got out of the hearings was you had Tulsi Gabbard said that none of the information was classified.
Well, that's what she was told.
And then, well, she was on the conversation. She heard it. She was part of the conversation.
So is she lying?
Well, that's
She's a liar.
That's the question. We don't know. All right. And again, I think what was actually said. And again, I'm not an expert in this, certainly, but I think it's probably on the line of whether it's classified or not. I think it's on the line. It may not technically be classified information. It may only be sensitive information. That's the lowest level.
Okay, so a
So
question.
technically, when she said it's not classified, technically she's probably right.
Was everybody
Okay.
that was communicated with have the security clearances?
Oh, yeah, they all do. They all do. Okay. At that level, yes, they have to.
Do you believe that whatever
Yeah.
the initials were, they thought it was someone else that was on that
well,
list? Was he on any other list?
Well, see, this is what they have
And the
to find.
question
This
is,
what
why
they-
would he be on any list if they didn't like him?
Well, that's my question. That's the first thing. I mean, how does a sworn enemy of the Trump administration get admitted to that particular
Well,
chat?
Sam, we remember during COVID
Yeah.
when all the local governments switched to Zoom for their meetings.
Yes.
And we had pornography programs put on,
Still have it.
and not anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you do.
We get
Chelmsford
we've
did.
gotten Zoom bombed.
Well, you guys like
yeah,
that. You
yeah,
guys
we
must
have.
love your pornography out there. That's why they let it happen. But
Yeah.
we do Zoom here a lot, and you can't get in the room unless I admit you.
Right.
It says, Sam Chase is here.
Yep.
Click. I let Sam in, and Googly Gocklick
I would ass-
wants to get in, and I'm gonna text Googly Gocklick. Who the hell are you? Oh, I'm Evelyn. This is my. Okay, Evelyn. What kind of a car do you drive? I don't know. That gets rid of her. So
Well,
there's ways around it, and to say that people can
I
just
guess-
click into this without getting authorized.
I don't
Puzzling.
know. It's unlikely. I mean, somebody's got to let you in. I mean, that's how I understand it, right?
Yep.
So-
And then the question is
right.
whether or not there's any face recognition as a result of it.
That would be whoever is, in charge of the thing, and what I get out of what I hear is that it was Waltz. Waltz was it was his chat, okay? That's what I understood. So
And why would they do this?
he would be responsible, or his people would be responsible for letting people into the group. So the other people probably wouldn't be paying much attention as to who was on, all right?
Yeah, but I guess
So-
my question is, if you have any kind of activity like this, usually you meet in a secure room to discuss it. You don't discuss it over a telephone.
If everybody can do that.
Right, but if they
Right.
can't do that,
These people are all
Then-
over the world.
well, I don't know who was on the list.
Yeah, there were 18 people, and one of the things that did come out yesterday was, and I forget the person's name, I forget who it was, but one of the people supposedly on the chat was in Russia, so that was a big thing. They found out later that that wasn't true, so that's misinformation that's been put out there.
Well, I think there's an awful
Great
lot of,
lakes.
All
This
right.
information had beautiful lakes.
So anyway, to get back, and I don't really want to belabor this, but in my opinion, after listening to all the conversation, unfiltered conversation, this should not have happened. The discussion itself was appropriate, I think, but not on that particular application. And I will say one more thing. If you read through the discussion, one thing, and I don't, of course, I'm going to be accused of putting a positive spin on it, but I mean, I think you have to be fair. One thing that I find interesting is that the discussion on the app is consistent with what they've said publicly, okay? And I think one of the reasons that stuff like this really gets blown up is when you have a situation where your public officials say one thing to the public and they say another thing behind the scenes. In this particular case, what they said behind the scenes was exactly what they've been saying publicly.
Yeah, they don't like that.
So that's not going to blow up.
All of the text,
Okay.
all the text that I read about this, there was no real identifiable information given out about where this was happening.
There were no
It's kind
war-
of like it's
yeah.
kind of like saying there's a naked school bus driver in our town, without saying what town. So are you going to run outside your house and wait for the naked school bus driver to ride by? You
There
don't know
were-
what town.
There were not, when, I guess, I did hear Hegseth at one point say there were no war plans. So I think technically that is a correct statement, okay, in line with what you just said. All right, there were no detailed
Location.
logistics type information on that. There were general things like timing and so forth. But again, I think it's on the line. My opinion is it's on the line.
Absolutely
okay?
should not have happened.
Oh, of course not. Of course not. And the question is, of course, people are saying, well, these people should be fired and so forth. Well, I'm not sure I agree with that. Again, because if there had been dire consequences as a result of this, I think we'd be having a different conversation. The fact that nothing bad happened because of it is a mitigating factor, I think, all right? So you can, and I don't like to play whataboutism, but of course, that's what people do. And if heads are going to roll because of this, then heads should have rolled many times during the Biden administration.
absolutely, especially Afghanistan.
For their lapse.
Yeah.
So the media has glommed onto this, and rightly so, because it's a news story. I don't criticize them. But if you're going to have this degree of scrutiny and intense introspection on the Trump administration, you need to have it on the Democratic side too. And the problem is, in this country, in my opinion, the national media is left biased, and you're not going to get that, okay? Yeah, so when the Democrats screw up, they're going to pass over it. You may hear about it, but it's not a big deal. But when something like this happens on the Republican side, they're going to land on it, okay?
Sam,
So-
I'm happy you brought that up because
Yeah.
it's a fact that China stole all of the plans for our super secret jet aircraft.
Of course
before
it
we
is.
did. They stole it. It never was told by. So the American
Would you like to?
plane makers had to start from scratch with new plans. Page 2, very few people know that every phone call, every keystroke you make is watched by
Everybody.
the Australians. The Australians have a computer that's listening to every phone call you make.
Yeah.
And if you say, I'm going to kill the President of the United States today, they tattle to the FBI and CIA and that, you know what, McDonough just said that. And so it's happened in Australia. Well, you can't spy. Well, that's because you can't spy on Americans. But they are.
They do.
Lockheed Martin, back in 1995, Lockheed Martin was fined $13 million for export violations because of the technology that was transferred to China. And that was during the Clinton administration, and it was never reported in the media.
I'm going to just read these two quick. Grand Slam Sam. That's a mouthful.
It rhymes.
If Biden administration had done the same thing, the Republicans
Yeah.
would be going nuts. That's right. There's no Americans in Congress.
So if you
Pete Hegseth is a Trump guy.
yeah.
He's a rookie and probably shouldn't have been confirmed. He has maturity issues.
Yeah, but the thing is
Thank you
that
for
if
your
he wasn't
comments.
responsible for whatever it was, then
Yeah, but-
you
but-
can't
but,
blame him.
You know
Okay,
what?
is he the boss? Is
I
he the
think-
boss? Is he the boss of the organization?
No, I
Yes.
understand that,
But
but
he is responsible then.
well, then maybe they learned something, which is where I was going to go
Yeah.
with my opinion on, or my view on this, okay, which is very interesting, is that you have a reporter that was not supposed to be on this particular call, and immediately goes out and says, I was on the call and this is what I found out. If he had kept his mouth shut, he would have been on future calls. And
That's a good point.
and if he had been
Not
on,
likely.
how do you know?
Maybe.
He's got
We have-
this
we have-
one.
I have chat groups that I participate in all day long. And I'll look down and I'll say, oh, this one's from Cliff, this one's from this one. And I know I'm in a repeat chat group. And
But if the person doesn't say anything, if they don't respond,
but it says in the top of the chat group who's in the group.
I
Evelyn's in
understand-
the group, Sam's in the group, Bob's in the group.
I understand that, but by initials, if they're in the group, I don't know that they go around the group and ask them for their comments or questions. So let's make an assumption that they did not do
They
that.
didn't.
And let's make the assumption that whoever that individual was, which we now know who it is, because obviously they had to say something, and they jumped right on it. But if you thought about it enough, which there's a lot of short-sighted individuals on both sides of the table here. If you think about it long and hard, which is what was brought up on a different TV program, is that you'd wait till the next trip around to see if your name appeared on the next one. And if your name consistently began to appear, you would collect all your information so that the bombshell comes out later.
Well, Evelyn, you've been inside politics just like I have, okay? Going to blow through this real quick. Another question, how long before the impeachment word
Well-
starts getting thrown around?
All right, so to your point,
I'm leaving these two texts up for another
if
minute.
you
and then I'll go back
watch,
to watch
if
the
you watch,
talent.
if all you do on this one issue is watch Fox News, this is no big deal. It's a blip, it's no big deal. That's what they tell you.
You watch
If you
CNN.
watch MSNBC, people should be impeached and heads should roll, okay? So you have the two extremes.
Yep.
The truth is in the middle, okay, which is where it usually is. So the truth is, it shouldn't have happened. Waltz or whoever was responsible for this thing, and all of them really should have known probably that this conversation, they're all sloppy, they should have known, it should have been moved to another platform, okay?
Well, they're not going to use this one
Oh,
again.
no, they won't. And my guess is, I'm just speculating, my guess is that Trump probably said to these guys, look, you guys know that we have to be 100 times better than everybody else, because we're going to get attacked if we part our hair in the wrong direction.
Because the media
okay?
is
Right.
not on his
so,
side.
I'm going to let you off the hook this time. You screw up like this again, you're gone. I'm going to guess that that's what he's told these people, okay? And that's what I would tell them if I were the president. Do not, and oh, by the way, they all have big egos. regardless of what you think of them, they all have big fat egos. And sometimes we have to keep our mouths shut, fellas. You know, don't be doing this all the time
speaking-
because you're the most important person in the world. Hold that ego in check. Think about your mission and keep your mouth shut and only open it when it's necessary, and make sure you're doing it in the right venue, okay? Because that's part of your responsibility.
turned out to be-
especially if you're national security.
Right, and it's
okay?
turning out to be partisan politics. So if we go.
Well, everything's
and-
partisan politics.
And actually say.
Right.
Let's take a look at this, if you are an American citizen and you love your country and you want to make sure everything's going along just fine. You get on the wrong email, you get on the wrong thread of something, and you realize what's going on. Instead of blabbing everything, you go to a secure place, basically say, do you realize what's going on here? The security of the country is at stake, and you need to fix this. But because they hate Trump so much, they're willing to put that security at risk. However, let's look at the pros. They're going to probably get rid of Signal. There is a footprint, digitally footprint for everything, no matter how much you try to trash it. There's a footprint. They will be able to figure out how it got there, who did it, why they did
Yeah.
it, and the whole thing.
I'm
They will be
interested-
able to
yeah.
figure that out.
I want to know how he got on the chat.
Well,
That's
they're
what
gonna
I
figure
want.
that out.
That's what I want.
They'll
Well,
be
it's-
able to do
Evelyn
that.
spoke to it just briefly.
Yeah,
It's an ego trip. So
of course it is. They all have
there's
huge
nobody who
egos.
has the. Hey, Vivian, I'll be right there. Thanks. There's nobody who has the guts to say, "Who's this Sam guy in the chat?"
Well, they had
Who's
initials.
Sam?
They thought it was somebody else.
They don't have the guts, the courage to say, "Who's who's SC? Who's SC?"
Well, I think that what
SC,
they
who
need
are
to do
you?
is they need to take attendance.
I don't think they're paying attention. That's what I think.
Their egos get in
Well,
the way.
then-
Well, I know
think
everybody.
they're a little bit more naive than they should be.
Well, I think that's probably true. Again, and to your point, you said it earlier, they lack certain experience. These people are although somebody like, John Ratcliffe has been around, Tulsi Gabbard's been around. They're not in the same
Right, but
league as
Radcliffe did say that they put the Signal thing on his computer.
Correct.
And and I don't think anybody questioned
no,
it, but they do now.
Yeah, it's an app that they use, and they all use it. And
Apparently, it's not secure,
well, it's secure, but not
or it was hacked.
to the degree that it should be.
Right,
okay?
but they'll pull in Musk's guys because they're brilliant people.
One thing that
They'll figure it out.
One thing that I am happy about is when the problem was initially discovered with Goldberg, the administration admitted it and they didn't try to cover it up. So I guess in that regard, we've made some progress because that's not always been the case in past administrations. The first thing is how do we deny and how
Yeah.
do we cover up? They came out and they said, "Yep, you're right. This is an authentic conversation, and we screwed up." Okay, so that's good. That's good that they did that. It's too bad we have to give credit when people do the right thing. We shouldn't have to do that, but it is so abnormal for anyone in the government to be forthcoming like that. I think we have to acknowledge that and say it's good that they didn't try to hide this and cover it up.
No, they didn't
okay?
try to cover anything
So that's a
up.
good thing.
And like we
yeah.
already said at the beginning of this discussion,
Right.
is that they didn't identify locations. And so there was that, but it was assumed that everybody knew what it was, so they didn't
Right.
have to do that. But they really should, in any of their meetings, take attendance, make sure that whoever is
Mm-hmm.
on, but somebody could be quiet. But if you're checking off the list
Yeah.
as to who's there and
There's a
what their
record.
position is,
There's a record
then
of
you have a record. So when we do open meeting law, and you have something on that idea, which I usually follow some of those processes when I do the private meeting that we're on.
Sam,
And
you want to read this one?
I'll finish my
This
thought.
is, quote, the thing, unquote, the media quote, needs, unquote, to attack Trump over. So far, their attacks have been extremely lame, especially our local news there, spineless jellyfish swimming around Boston. And again, I think this particular thing has got a short life. It's going to go away. And I think the reason is because nothing bad happened as a result. Okay?
Apologies, Evelyn, I thought you were finished.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Anyway, we're going to take a break shortly, but just
Good.
to finish all of this stuff, when you take a look at some of the regulations that's out there and some of the statutes in terms of open meeting law, one of the things, whether you are running a private meeting or you're not, you want to make sure that the people that you have invited to the meeting are there. So if you are taking minutes and you are doing recordings, that's part of the recording. Vivian is here, we certainly can ask her.
She's the expert.
Yeah, is that you want to make sure who's absent and who's in attendance, and that is something that they probably didn't do, and part of it would be because, or why they may not have done that, is that the people that are in attendance have not been elected to a public office to ask those questions.
Nobody's taken, on a situation like that, at that level, those people aren't taking notes. And that's one other problem with that particular app, as I understand it, is they're saying that level of conversation, that level of security, the law requires that those conversations be preserved forever. And that particular app, as I understand it, has a feature where it's not done, after a week or so, the thing evaporates.
Oh, it disappears?
Okay, that's a problem. That's a serious problem. So that's a real issue. And folks, they screwed up, okay? They screwed up, and they need to own that, and there needs to be some level of wrist slapping, at least, okay? So, and I'm sure that behind the scenes, I'm sure Trump is furious at these people. But to his credit, publicly he's come out and said, look, we're dealing with this, and he's not going to throw them all under the bus this time. But boy, I'm going to tell you, if something like this happens again, I think they're gone. I think heads will roll, because you can't have it.
Coming up on the break is LTC.
You can't have it. Yeah.
LTC actually got out of bed and videoed the Greek flag raising. So if you go on YouTube and you look for LTC Loma, that's all one word, by the way.
Did that
no
happen
spaces,
yesterday?
No nothing. This happened March 25th.
Okay.
The Greek flag was, and boy, did
Tuesday.
They got a great crowd. So I'm going to hit play on this. We're going to go to break, and we'll be back shortly. Thanks.
So they.
The American firm. Okay. Καλημέρα. Hello, can you hear me? Good morning. ¿Sí lo llenas? You have to be there. Honestly, yesterday I was very upset with the weather. So the mayor called me and he said, don't worry, tomorrow it's going to be beautiful. I don't know what you think. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to start with the Farmago, with the children of the Hellenic American Academy and everybody else.
Όλοι μαζί.
Μάγο, σαν
This is Lowell Telecommunications. So if you want to watch this whole video of the Greek flag raising, and they've already had a miraculous 37 views so far. If you go to YouTube, one word. See down, let me scroll up a little bit so you can see the one word. This is what the LTC calls themselves. So, one word, LTC Loma. You go there and then you can look for this video and you can enjoy the whole thing. So, back to you guys. Thank you.
Welcome back to City Life. So it's roughly 7 a.m. We go off the air roughly in less than, 57 minutes or something like that. I'm Evelyn Thoren. I'm your host. Sam Chase is my co-host this morning. Bob Hoey has other commitments this morning. And our guest is Vivian Merrill. Thank you, Vivian, for getting up. Although you do get up early, right?
We do. We
Okay.
do.
Yeah, so it's not
Still
like,
got
was
the
this,
rooster?
No,
Oh, okay.
no,
do you have chickens?
not anymore. No, no horses, no chickens, no rabbits, no nothing.
Is it
no
because it
pheasants.
takes a lot to do it, or because of all the regulations that you have to follow?
My husband had some health issues, so it's like he couldn't take care of them when he needed to.
Her husband has the biggest pickup truck in the world.
We
What do
don't
you
want
have?
to talk about cars this week.
I
It's
just
2002
Vivian,
Ford
what she pulled in with,
F-350.
I'm there like, I hope you're gonna back up plan with that gigantic
Do you
truck
own
she's
an
driving.
oil refinery? Because that's what you have to have if you've got a vehicle like that.
Yeah, he loves that thing.
Yeah,
But my
see.
Explorer died, so I had to sell
Oh.
that for parts. My other truck ended up in the shop. That's all messed up, and we're down to my daughter's car and the land yacht. So
The land yacht.
here we go.
Well, I can remember years ago riding a bike on the bike trail early in the morning, and Vivian's lives right on the bike trail, right on Maple Street, and you'd be right there, and all of a sudden I'd hear that rooster.
We had a few of them, yeah.
Who
They all
need-
had different personalities.
Who needs an alarm clock when you've got that, right?
Yeah, but they also will crow at any time of the day because they're the protector of the hens.
Yep.
So if they think there's any kind of
They do a few other things
problem,
with the hens, too.
they're going to make, well, I understand that part, but they do notify the hens or try by their crowing to scare off any intruders.
And there
Or
was lots of them in my yard. I mean, when the last rooster died, it was kind of interesting to see one of the hens did kind of try to take over that role and learn
Really?
how to crow.
Interesting.
wow.
So that was a hoot.
An
But
alpha
I mean, in the end, once the
hen.
horse passed away, we lost all our chickens within a month. And I was kind of surprised because the horse was in his corral and the hens were like 20 feet away, but we didn't have many problems until the horse died.
I think
So-
the animals
So there's,
are so much smarter than
So
we think they
the
are.
chickens
Oh,
died
for real.
naturally?
Yeah,
No, they were attacked.
Okay.
yeah.
Even the ones in the barn, because I was raising some chicks in the barn.
I'm gonna
and
guess the attacker was
Something
afraid of
got
the
in there
horse.
too, so that was
So,
awful.
hey, it's 32 degrees outside, 32 degrees,
Yeah.
and we get a little bit of a breeze, as you can see with the flag flapping in the breeze there. So you might want to drive little Evelyn or little Vivian to school today.
Yeah, let little Sam walk.
Yes, you know, our motto, screw Sam.
Yeah.
oh, that's a riot. I had sent John what you had posted about the dog park. You wear many hats. We're going to go through the whole list.
So you sent me a text on Messenger?
No, yes, Messenger, there should be a flyer that she
I'll
put
go
out
look.
there on
Actually, I didn't do
Facebook.
that, the dog association did that.
Right, but, I know
Yeah,
that you're
it's about the dog park.
quite involved with
And-
that.
and-
Pictures with the Easter Bunny,
And explain the difference between the
the two groups.
two groups, because, I mean, I've heard that 3 or 4 times, and I'm still confused, so go ahead.
Yeah, the Dog Park Advisory Committee basically
Yep.
is the town entity that kind of runs through all the complaints and situations and whatnot.
And you're appointed by
firsthand.
the town manager?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and we make recommendations to the town manager, and he ultimately decides whether we need to do something or not. The Chelmsford Dog Association are the boots on the ground guys. They empty out the poop, they clean up the grounds, they host events to do fundraising, they replace things that are broken, stuff like that. So they, try to do a few fundraisers here and there, and that's that.
Okay, that's good. All right. And now, as far as the advisory committee, that's an actual committee of the town, all right?
Yes. Yeah, we work
Do
on
you-
the rental
Do you
area,
have
too.
any, for lack of a better word, do you have any power over the dog association? Or is it just a?
We have a memo of understanding with them.
Okay, and it's a, and you, as you said, if you see things going south, then you talk to the town manager, and the town manager has some authority over the dog park. Is that a correct
Absolutely.
statement? All right,
Yeah.
all right. Okay, good. I'm going to try to remember that, so I
all
don't have to
good.
get that explanation again. It's probably the fourth time. I think hopefully it'll stick, all right?
It's okay, we still love you, man.
Thank you. Somebody has to, right?
That's provided you own a dog. I don't own a dog. We were more involved with cats only because they're very independent. You
They're
don't have to
also a
take them
lot
for walk.
easier.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're very independent. And when my cat died last year, because I have children and grandchildren allergic to cats, there won't be another one, which is sad. But the way my lifestyle is, it's too busy for cats.
Didn't you at one time have,
5.
it was 5, I remember that.
Well, 5 in-house.
Yeah.
Because I had my original red tabby, and then we acquired a cat from the outside, which was Angora, very long fur. And then then she died, and I acquired another red tabby, who was a bully, but we didn't know it for a while. He basically, well, anyway, we won't go into the details of a personality of a cat. And then my children, who were teenagers and over 20, came across a litter of kittens that somebody had, and each of them wanted something different, and so we ended up with 3 kittens. And so by the time I ended it, we had 5 cats.
Your
They thought
cats-
they were people.
Your cats were 2 things. Your cats, I thought, were very well behaved, and they seemed acclimated to people. And the other thing is, every time I went into your house, there was no, a lot of times you have that many animals and there's a smell, right? You walk into Evelyn's house with the 5 cats, and you would, unless you saw the cats, you would never know there were cats in that house. Your house never, ever smelled of cats or anything like that, so.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a maintenance issue.
It is. I mean, you obviously kept up with it, but a lot of people don't,
Just
and-
barging in here for
so-
a second. Ev, I looked for your text. I haven't got a text.
In Messenger?
I haven't got a text
No
from,
text.
on my phone since Saturday. And these are all your messages
Uh-oh.
this week to in our group text. And I couldn't see anything.
Did you go on Messenger?
This is Messenger we're looking at right here.
Okay, let me check.
You
So
better
I can
check
send
with
it to
Mike
you.
Waltz and see if you're doing that right, John.
Yeah, we're having a little bit, I don't know, if there could be, the Atlantic could be watching this.
That could be. That guy might be on your, on
It
your
didn't
feed.
go.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right,
so that's why.
so I
Sometimes they
think
don't
it's
go.
that one. I can't see it.
Boy, Pete Heck says, wishes he had your phone.
There it is. All right, you'll get it now. Well, at least we have time. I'm glad that you took a look.
That's good. And in the lull, I'll throw out one more thing on the last topic. I mean, okay, you want to talk about the competence of these guys?
Here is the dog park.
What about the competence of Mayorkas and Pete Buttigieg? What qualifications did they have for those positions? I mean,
Oh, we don't have to answer that question.
in
'cause
my
we know there's
opinion,
zero.
probably the 2 worst cabinet secretaries we've had in the last 40 years.
They weren't even in the fields.
No.
So that's why when there's so much criticism on one
I
administration
will drag
versus
this to my announcements,
look
but
at
do you
this.
want to showcase it now or no?
No, we'll go to announcements and then we can talk about it afterwards
All
if you
right,
want.
then
But
never mind the dog park.
anyway, so, I mean, that's how, the dog park thing in Chelmsford, that's out there on Facebook, and we'll put it up again. And that's next week.
Yeah.
Next week. It's really hard to believe that we're just about
It's
into April. No, well, it's not really distressing for
It's
me,
been
because I
spring for
want
a
to be
week.
able to work in my yard. That's my exercise
Yeah, but
program.
taxes are due next month.
Oh, shh,
I don't have
quiet.
time for this.
You haven't done them yet?
No.
Ooh,
Well, Glenn's, hours are easy, because they
Mine
got
are
rid
not.
of so many of the deductions that it's just straight. So it's just a question of just putting it
Mine
all
are easy.
together.
I just write out a check and mail it to them. That's
Do
my
you leave it
taxes.
blank?
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about the Social Security thing. We'll talk about that near the end of the
Yeah,
program.
okay.
So you have the work thing with the dog park. Is there
Mm-hmm.
anything else with the dog park?
There is a picture session with the Easter Bunny off the top of my head. The date escapes me. That's also in April. I can send you that flyer. And that's about it for the dog park right now.
Right, now that event will happen on a weekend before Easter?
Yeah.
Okay, so Easter is April 20th.
Okay.
So if you're looking to have your dog have a picture with the Easter Bunny at the Chelmsford Dog Park on Richardson Road, in Chelmsford, of course, then take a look, and you can look online. You have stuff online, like a website?
There should be something on their Facebook page. They're having some issues with their website, so they're working through that. I don't know how up-to-date the website is. I have a feeling that might be discontinued.
How much use does the dog park get in the wintertime?
Actually, quite a bit.
Does it?
Because we ended up having to close it because of ice.
Okay.
And there were some people that were just very upset about that.
Well,
Because
Vivian, can you give me the ingredients of a dog park in your mind? What are the ingredients? A dog park. Dogs don't drive cars, so they're not parking
That's good.
cars.
Yeah.
So fence,
Oh, yeah, you need to have
grass.
fence.
Can it be
yeah.
hot top? Can it be a combination of both?
It can, yeah,
How
it can
big-
be
should it
whatever
be an
surfaces you
acre?
want.
Should it be 50 acres? How big should the dog park? And how high should the fence be?
And
how many gates should there be?
6 feet. We have entrance gates, we have exit gates, we have emergency access gates.
I'll bet you we have it on Google,
We have
too.
3 sections, one for all the dogs, whatever size they are. We have one just for small dogs. And then we have a third section that you can use for anybody, but it can also be rented out for a period of time.
Give John the address so he can see if he can find it on GIS.
It's 52 Richardson Road. GIS might have it under 54 Richardson Road because it
Okay.
used to be part of the DPW area.
Either 52 or 54 Richardson.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he can show the overview, but is he
Right.
looking up the qualifications or the
Yeah, I mean,
stats on how to
there's
build
a bunch
one?
of dog parks all over New England, all over the country, really. Basically, yeah, it's a fenced-in area. You can have it as simple or as complicated as you want. Some dog parks have a lot more, like, agility amenities than we do. We have a lot of shade structures. We have some parking. We have, like, a landscaped area.
There we go.
It's almost 2 acres.
Oh, wow,
Which
that's good
is
size.
a lot bigger than most dog parks.
Yeah.
And it's worked out well.
Okay, so Vivian, looking at this picture from Google, whatever they call it.
Mm-hmm.
This is Google Chelmsford, Mass. And you just
Yeah.
That's an old one.
well, it's the only one I can get, kiddo.
That's okay.
So, how high is the fence?
Around the perimeter, it's 6 feet. Between the sections, it's 4 feet.
Do you have any dogs that have
There's
jumped it?
sections?
Yeah.
Yes, he had sections for large dogs, small dogs, and then another one that could be
And
rented.
then one right next to Richardson Road there is the little rental
Is
area.
that
We have
legal?
an Angolian
Is that legal to
Shepherd?
segregate the dogs like that? You're not violating any laws or
We have an
anything?
Angolian Shepherd,
No.
and she can jump an 8-foot fence.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure they can. I haven't
Freaking-
had any complaints
The
about
dog
it.
is bigger than me. And as friendly as, but you go near her favorite kid, you're gonna die.
Oh, no.
Now, do you have situations where people bring the dogs in and the dogs don't get along?
Every day.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's
Every
one
day.
reason to begin to delineate on size.
So let's get back to, so Lowell, every town is thinking about doing this.
Yeah.
So the ingredients, it's an 8-foot fence,
We used a 6.
a 6-foot fence.
Yeah.
So you got a 6-foot fence, and that's been pretty effective to keep the dogs from jumping over.
Yeah.
Leaving,
Yep.
okay. So what other ingredients should you put into so you need a place to park your car. I mean, you guys got a generous parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's well done, actually.
We did
when
have
you-
an irrigation system in there. We can't use it right now because there's some PFAS issues over there. It's not affecting the surface, so to speak, but it is affecting the groundwater, but.
There are wells that are adjacent
Right.
to that
yeah.
from North
The
Chelmsford and
DEP
wetlands.
and everybody's monitoring that, so we just kind of sit back and go, okay, let me know when we can use the irrigation, please. The good news is that Christine Clancy with the DPW was able to get a grant from the Cooling Corridors Program, and they will be planting 25 trees. And part of the services of that grant includes some tree surrounds and a year of watering services.
Oh, great.
To get the trees started. That's going out to bid next week. We're going to have some work done on a couple of the fountains because they leak. And we've got some bollards to put up. And we're also going to do some walkway improvements, because around that grassy area, there is supposed to be a little walkway, but over the years, it's eroded and stuff, and that's going to be revitalized, so to speak.
So when you do that walkway, are you doing it in dirt? Are you doing it in pavers? Are you doing it in asphalt?
I'm not sure how she's planning to do it.
Shouldn't do it in
She's
asphalt.
thinking about it.
Yeah, pavers will last a lot longer.
Because we also wanted to be like somewhat ADA compliant. We do have people
Well,
in
that would be
wheelchairs.
asphalt.
And like I say, Christine's been thinking about it and working on
Knowing,
it. and-
knowing
I mean,
knowing
it'll be
Director
thorough.
Clancy, it will be done the right
Do we have to
way.
be
Yeah.
a Chen's-Fatia to go to this thing, or can we be
Anybody can go.
any Tom, Dick, or
It's
Mary
open
can
to
bring
the
it?
world.
Yep,
Bring
they
it
don't,
on.
they don't check residency on the
No.
way in.
So
No.
in my GPS, 70 Richardson?
52,
52?
yeah.
Richardson
Yeah.
Road, sorry, this is.
Also, if you want to rent the rental area, you go onto the Town of Chelmsford website, do a search on the facilities. On the facility reservations, you go into parks, and you get into the calendar for the dog park, and you can see if the time slot you're interested in renting is available. You set in the reservation, it comes to me, I usually approve it as long as there's no other conflicts. Fill out your rental application. It's, depending on how long you want to rent it, there's certain rates, and we do ask for a $100 security deposit.
What are we renting?
The little agility area right next to Richardson Road.
Agility area.
Yeah, if you want to do a
Yeah.
birthday
Boy,
party.
oh boy, you
Yeah.
guys have
A dog birthday
I
party?
got a lady
never
from
heard that word before
Sudbury
today.
that comes in with 3 pit bulls, and
So-
she loves it.
Make him believe this is a clock.
She'll rent it for
Sudbury,
an
huh?
hour. Yeah.
Wow, that's a
Yeah,
hike.
Vivian,
Yeah.
make him believe this is a clock. The agility room, which,
All right, that's going to be over by 11.
by over here?
Yes, that section. They call it the agility/rental area.
So it's not inside.
Yeah, it's in the park itself.
Not in- No,
No, it's not in a building.
Covered
Oh,
It's
no,
outside.
no.
room.
No.
Okay.
And
What are
that's all
these-
fenced
What are these
in,
other
too?
two structures? Is this the bathroom here?
No, that's the big carport shade structure. It's like a big,
Is there any restrooms here?
no.
Understood.
We've talked about porta potties. There was somebody that sponsored it. For some reason, it never came together. They're still looking into it.
Porta potties are great. Call Frank.
Would
King
this
and
qualify
get
as
one.
open space? Do you know?
I believe it does.
Okay,
So
Or
the audience
recreation.
says,
Right.
Chelmsford Dog Park is great and well attended. I like the idea of being able to separate larger dogs from smaller dogs, smaller ones. Thank you for your.
that makes perfect sense.
So is there anything else in the dog park?
So how do you prevent mating?
How do we prevent what?
Mating.
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 Oh, if you have a
the
dog
dogs
that's in
Don't
heat.
say
Oh, the dog,
what's
if your
mating.
dog's in heat, it doesn't belong at any dog park anywhere, and that's actually on the posted rules.
Okay,
Do
Oh.
people listen to it?
no,
I think we might have had 1 or 2 incidents over the years that people just are clueless and didn't know what was happening. They were asked to leave, and they were told why. That's the way it goes.
So who's the police person? Is there a police person there all the time?
No,
Okay.
They can be self-governing to a certain point as long as you don't
to a
have any
certain
bullies.
point. I mean, when you get to a point where you need police assistance, you dial 911.
No, but I mean, who told the in-heat dog handler?
Oh, I have no idea. I was
To
nowhere near
skedaddle.
the area at the time, and it was years ago.
but
So you don't
obviously,
have a Karen on duty?
No.
Okay.
No, it's other park goers or,
Yeah.
if one of the volunteers notices something that, hey, maybe you want to try this another day, something like that. Most people over there try to help each other out. I mean, when we had to close for the ice, there was a lady that was trying to trek across the ice, and I'm like, the park is closed. I don't know how you got in here, but yeah, somebody unlocked the gate and whatever. And
They
she
actually-
totally got
oh.
it. She couldn't
Wow.
be nicer. Some people just don't like to be told what to do. They tend to get a little defensive, but I'd say the majority of people there, They get it. They're there to help each other, and it's usually not a problem.
Well, it's a community. I mean, if you're a dog owner and you do something like this, it's somewhat of a kindred spirit, and the people are
Right.
going to get
Yeah,
along.
so it's not just a
right.
social event
And
for
the
the
people that
dog.
don't like it don't come back, and that's
Exactly.
okay. You've got other options. It's not a big deal. Nobody's insulted.
So do you know, where is the nearest dog park to this?
Probably Lowell has a little tiny one over
They
by
do.
the water treatment
Okay.
area. There's one in Billerica over on Treble Cove, I believe.
That's public. These are
Yeah.
public ones.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So when I used to visit my sister in Florida, they had public dog parks, but they were huge.
Evelyn, it's,
I know what time it is. I just
Uh-oh.
want to finish.
Your favorite?
And then when she had an apartment up here, the different apartment complexes had their dog parks, but that was private for the residents. So they are out there.
There
If
are
anybody's looking for
private,
stuff,
sure.
you know, you certainly can. And if you're in a certain place, you can always start your own.
Okay.
So I guess we're going to the commercial part.
Yep.
no, these are announcements.
When we come back,
We don't
I got
get
a
paid
holiday
for this.
decoration.
No, we don't get paid for anything here.
So, if you want an announcement, just send a text to my phone. We'll put it out there. Moving right along, we have the annual job fair today happening in lovely Lowell, Massachusetts. No, it's not. It's all done. So forget this one. If you missed it, no, this was pretty good. They had 60 employers downtown Lowell yesterday. So if you wanted to change career, good time to do it. But sorry, kids, that was yesterday. Tonight, we have extravaganza at Lowell. Eric Gitch's re-election campaign party's happening tonight. I know I'm going to be there. I know Bobby Hoey's going to be there. Eric's a good guy. And Thursday, March 27th, 2025, which is today, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m., the re-election campaign kickoff party at Mount Pleasant Golf Club. So I know I'll be out there. Tonight, very proud, these guys, the Tuskegee Airmen Commemoration. Downtown City Hall tonight at 5 p.m. They're going to have the Office of Mayor, Daniel P. Rourke, and the Lowell City Council, and the Office of City Manager invite you to join City of Lowell commemorating the Tuskegee Airmen who bravely defended our nation during World War II. Light refreshments will be served. Good group of guys, God bless them. They saved a lot of lives. Today is March 27th, which means the Lowell Senior Center is proud to have lunch 7 days a week. Yep, even Saturdays and Sundays. Today, we're going to have pot roast. $2. Go over there around 10:30, plunk down your $2. If you don't have it, we'll let you eat for free. And always a tasty event. So I hope to see you over there today. Health Fair in Tewksbury is coming up on April 9th. So if you have questions about this, this is going to be the Tewksbury Senior Center, 175 Chandler Street out in Tewksbury. Plenty of parking behind the building. Looks like there's not any where park behind the building, huge parking lot. So if you have questions about this, Susan Timmons, that's her phone number. And so be in touch with her if you have a question. Coming up on April 3rd, Danielle McFadden is having a campaign kickoff party. She's running for Lowell School Committee citywide. And it's Thursday, April 3rd, 5 to 8 p.m. at the Mount Pleasant Golf Club, 141 Staples Street. If you want to volunteer, hey, you got too much time on your hands, you want to volunteer, they're having a spring volunteer fair, and it's going to be at St. Anne's Church, downtown Lowell, 8 Kirk Street. That's the street that Lowell High's on. And they'd love to see you down there, so you can learn more about being a volunteer. Taste of the Town, Wilmington Tewksbury Chamber of Commerce. This is a great event to go to. And it's not a lot of money. It's $30 per person. And all the restaurants that are around town showcase their best stuff. So you can get steak tips, all kinds of. I've gone to this a couple of times, and I always leave with a smile, and I'm completely full. So that's going to be coming up on Tuesday, April 8th, from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn in Tewksbury. Sixto DeJesus, he's having a campaign kickoff party, and he's going to be at the Cato Asian Fusion Restaurant, 72 Merrimack Street in downtown Lowell, Thursday, April 10th, starting at 6 p.m. So I hope to see.
What's he running for?
He's a city councilor at large.
Okay.
So citywide. And that's the last announcement, but I want to say happy retirement to two good guys. And it's Frank Cavallo and his brother Lee Cavallo. They've run espresso pizza for like a bazillion years, downtown Lowell. So today, they're still going to be down there. But April 1st, it's changing hands. From what I understand, nothing's going to change. Everything will be the same. But Frank and Lee are letting go of the reins. They've sold it. And I haven't seen Frank to talk to him, but I did see an announcement on Facebook yesterday, so I know when I found out last week when we went down to get our pizza. And Frank, Lee, going to miss you. Happy retirement. Live long and prosper. I hope you guys have a wonderful life. Thank you for all the treats you made me over my adulthood. Back over to you guys.
Well, welcome back after all of that. I did send you the one on the dog park, if you want to stick that up there, and we'll finish.
That was here,
talking.
but I don't know why it didn't pop up. So here is the dog park. thing.
Beautiful.
Yep, spring work party, so if you take your dog there and you'd like to help out, there you are, volunteer. April 5th, that's a week from this Saturday, 8 to 12.
So if it's rainy,
I can't read that.
No
If
rain.
it's raining, they'll do it on Sunday.
okay.
There you go.
It's all outside, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it says right there, rain date April 6th. So, okay.
Okay, good, that's all. So reading the whole thing, Chelmsford Dog Park, 100% volunteer spring work party. Spring is here, there's a cleanup to be done. So do we have to bring rakes and stuff?
You probably wouldn't hurt.
Bring your own rake, bring your own rake. Volunteer to keep the dog park safe, clean environment. April 5th, 100% volunteers, but you'll probably see some big shots there. Sam might be down there with a rake and a shovel, you never
don't
know.
know.
Evelyn might show up.
I don't think so. And then I just sent you another one, which I thought was interesting. I love
52
dogs,
Richardson
but I
Road
don't.
in North Chelmsford.
Then-
Please note, parts of the park will be closed during these hours. If you are volunteering, you may bring your dog.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now,
So you had something else up?
do you,
Yeah, there was one other one I sent to you.
do you
Okay,
get,
I'll look around for that, I'll put it up when we.
do you
when I
normally
find
get a
it.
pretty good attendance for this?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, people have a vested interest
Good.
in all of that. I sent one other one to John, and when he was talking about the health thing, there's a lot of stuff that goes on with our Board of Health in Chelmsford. I'm assuming that they all communicate from one town to a city to another town.
Not on Signal, though.
No, not on Signal. On Facebook. The other part also is there's a lot of stuff that is on Facebook and a lot of events. There's a lot of recipes on Facebook. It's interesting if you
Facebook, where old timers go, that's where
yeah.
old people go.
Well, there's some young people that
I think
are on
you're
there,
right.
but they're not very
It's
young.
mostly old people.
I think you're right.
Yeah, so what's the thing that the young people do? Well, anyway, this was on
They want like TikTok and stuff.
so
Snapchat.
yeah, if you want to take whatever the
Is
health
this what we need to know about? Is this your announcement?
Yeah, that's the other one, and that has to do with the Board of Health.
Do I need to keep looking for another announcement? or
No,
just
that's
this
it.
one? Okay.
And so they are doing surveys and needs assessments, and so if you take a picture of that, you'll be able to fill that out. So if there's anything that you'd like to do, if you don't want to do anything, ignore this.
Well, reading this whole thing, we need to hear from you. Help us improve health in Greater Lowell. Scan the code below and take the 2025 Community Health Needs Assessment Survey. So, ladies and gentlemen, everybody, take your fancy phone out of your pocket, put it in camera mode, and zero in on this thing here, and make these people happy. A website will come up and just fill in the answers. You happy now, Ev?
Thank you.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Back to you guys.
Very colorful.
Okay, so we finished with all the dog park. Now you wear another hat.
Yeah, we're also on the Holiday Decorating Committee, which is in charge of the Holiday Prelude and tree lighting event. This year, that event will be on December 7th. Right now, I'm looking for companies or people or families to sponsor a square on our annual calendar raffle, which will be held in August. So if you'd like to donate a gift basket or a gift certificate or anything like that, please get in touch with me. We can, arrange a pickup or whatever. Right now, we have about 5 days filled, so there are 26 left to go. And, you know, people seemed to enjoy it last year. Last year I did 2 of them. The second one, I was tired, so I'm only doing 1 this year. We're also thinking about doing a series of flea markets on the weekend during the summer, having tables like, I don't know, 25, 30 bucks a table. You come sell your stuff for a day. And we're still working on the details of that. We'll either do it at the Garrison House, or I'm going to try talking to somebody in conjunction with the Summer Farmers Market, see if we can do something with that. So that's in its infancy. And let's say if you'd like to sponsor a square for the raffle, just give me a call or shoot me a text or email or whatever.
Now, you're always looking for additional people
Ev, how
for
long
the
do you
committee,
want me to
right?
leave this
Oh,
up?
absolutely.
There's
How-
no date on it.
I don't know. I would assume the
So
date
what's
may
good?
be on the link.
And the QR code.
Yeah.
Okay.
So make your pitch,
I'll do it for a
Vivian,
week.
for your committee.
We can always use help for, you know, planning different activities for the events, helping me fundraise. We're gonna do the big stage again this year, because that was very popular last year. The town manager's taking care of that. I'm debating over whether to do the horse and tractors again, because last year the crowds were so bad, it was really hard to keep the vehicles moving. It created a lot of safety issues. We're still going back and forth on that, but that part may change.
So if you want, if you want to volunteer to serve on the holiday decorating committee, what should people do?
They can go to the Town of Chelmsford website under committee, there's like a committee page, and then there's a section for committee applications.
And you can also
fill out
find
that
it on the town manager's website as well.
And you can always call and ask.
Right.
You know, if you can't figure out how to do it, you just call the town manager's office, and they ought to be able to walk you through it.
Sure, they're very nice there.
Oh, absolutely. Anything else about that? So you're looking for more volunteers?
Yeah.
Even though it's only March,
Yeah.
everybody thinks of Christmas. And you said there were a lot of people. Have you seen an increase in the number of people participating over the time that you've been involved?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if it's because we had to cancel it 2 years ago, and we just had great weather last time, but the crowds were amazing. It was a lot.
It was, yeah, a lot of
And it's a
people.
good problem to have.
A lot of
you know?
people.
But you really got to think about what you're going to do. I mean, thank God those horses were bulletproof, because people were walking right in front of them. They're touching them. They got blinders on. These poor things have no idea what's going on. The drivers were getting frustrated. It was a lot. And same thing with the tractors. The tractors have a smaller area they go across, and nobody would move for them. You know, so it was a struggle, but it's
Don't
a
you have
struggle that
cops?
can be
Don't you have
addressed.
cops that go? Biker cops?
There was a police presence there,
No,
but
but biker cops are the best. Bring their motorcycle. That's what you gotta ask them to send a
Yeah.
biker cop or send the biker cops. Those guys are fantastic.
So what's the route? Is it around the common?
the horse and wagons go around the common, the tractors go around the center. So we have like 2 loops going that people can get rides.
Okay, so logistically, if you had one or the other, you would be able to put cones out and signs, people cross here?
I don't know that it would work, because of the way it's like, we've got activities on both sides of the
The
street.
horses can't read, so that's a problem.
Yeah, but the drivers can.
Right, but I mean, when you have,
People can't read.
Well, that's true.
so when you have the 4th of July parade, obviously
Yeah.
people know that they gotta stay on either side.
Yeah.
And unless
I-
there's instructions, people are gonna be in the street.
Yeah.
Because it is petitioned off.
Right.
One of the most important parts of the show. So what do we got to?
Blueberry lemon,
Okay, thank you.
you'll have to let me know how you like
I'm
it.
gonna guess that there were,
There's a lot of
That's
blueberries in it.
awesome.
I'm gonna guess that there are lemons and blueberries in there. Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
Such
You'll
a
have to let
deal.
me, there's no crunch. I
No
didn't put
crunch,
any
no
nuts in it.
coconut or anything like that?
I'm lucky I was able to cook it, or bake it, I should say, considering everything else that's been going on. It's crazy. So do you have any more to add with regard to the prelude?
No.
Okay, so you said December 7th. I know it's a long way away, but time is flying fast, because, I
Yeah.
mean, we're almost in April already.
Yep. And fundraising
Yeah,
is
December
December
7th is the holiday prelude. But in order to be able to fund it, you have to start quite a few months in advance. And so PRing it for you to attend is great. And if people want to donate any gift cards or items like floral stuff that's
Baskets, yeah.
Christmas, gift baskets, anything along those lines, do you have a phone number or a website or a different contact for people to know where to put it or how to contact you?
They can contact me through the town manager's office, or they can call my cell phone. That number is 978.
He's
Hold
going to
on.
put it up.
He's gonna
He's eating.
put it up on the screen.
Multitasking,
My
it's
fingers
never
get
good,
sticky.
right? That's just a
Can
keyboard.
you
Throw it
eat
up
and
on.
type at the same time? That's
Well,
the
it's the
question.
stickiness on the keyboard I try to avoid.
All right.
All right. So, Vivian,
Okay.
what's your phone number?
978 973 9596.
9596.
Okay. Vivian, what are the last four digits? Nobody else talks.
9596.
You like what you're saying there?
Yes.
Good.
Thank you.
Make sure I have that.
So if you want to give Vivian some of your dough, call her up. You want to help her
It
out,
will be put to good use in
call her up.
August.
She'd be happy to hear. Only she doesn't answer, just
Leave a
Voicemail.
message,
Voicemail.
absolutely.
Do you need any more strings of lights? Remember, you were going to fundraise to get more of those. Are you set with the strings of lights that
We'll
go?
find out in September.
Okay.
Last year, we got really lucky. Everything worked. I think we lost one set of lights. All the snowflakes worked. Everything was great. So that's good. This year, I mean, it depends on how much trouble they had taking them all down. Sometimes they break. But we usually do that check in, like October.
So if you had a section on the town website, you could put what your needs would be up
Sure.
there.
Yep.
And you haven't
Yeah,
done
we
that.
we do have a page. The only thing that's up there right now is the flyer.
Because if
Forget
you
that.
had the light bulbs and people wanted to buy a bunch of light bulbs,
Mm-hmm.
of whatever that was, or if they wanted to buy strings of lights to donate,
We use a company that does like industrial type
Okay.
lights.
so you
Off
purchase.
the top of my head, I don't remember the name of it. Like I said, we dodged a huge bullet because we didn't have to order any last year.
Well, as the time gets closer and you come in, we can do updates and
sure.
we can do lists if people are interested in anything specific. And if you find that somebody may have some new ideas, we'll be able to share those also.
Absolutely. And yeah, we're always looking for new ideas. It's great.
So we're starting early.
We are.
Sometimes, I know it sounds funny to do stuff in March for Christmas, but when my children were growing up, I started in January to
Of course you did.
to watch the sales, general stuff, to know what was going on, to whatever certain gifts were for different people, not just the kids, and line things up. And I had a gift closet because that gift closet would be like for birthdays, or if the kids the boys had a birthday party to go to, and because I was a busy person, you just go to the gift closet and you've got something there if that's something that they thought one of their friends would like.
The only problem with that system is, if you do that, you hope the person you're giving to doesn't go out and buy the item themselves, later on.
Well,
So
if they do,
if you're
they do.
buying Christmas presents in February, that person may.
Shop
It
sales,
is-
you gotta.
Right, but when I did this, which is roughly 30-plus years ago, it was a little different situation than it is today.
Oh, sure.
With
Oh,
what
yeah.
people do and they don't do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because if you buy stuff off Amazon, you've only got sometimes, 20 to 30 days to replace it. Speaking of which, I am certainly sure that I probably shouldn't do this. I'm going to share
Just going to do it anyway, though.
a funny story. Okay, when I mentioned Amazon and gifts. Okay, this has nothing to do with the holiday prelude or anything like that.
This is an aside.
This is an aside story. And especially if you have grandchildren, small grandchildren. Do not underestimate the ability of a child to use your phone to their advantage. We have a 4-year-old grandson,
Oh, listen to this. Is good. You're going to like this story.
and he likes to watch Marvel comics, different things on the telephone, or things with cars, any number of things. So my husband, he loves Grandpa. When I go to visit, he's doing this to see if Grandpa's behind me. So never mind, hi Grandma, how you doing? Where's Grandpa? Is he coming? So that's fine. I don't care. My ego is just fine. So Glenn has been giving him his phone so that he can, watch everything on the phone. And that's the first thing. Do you have your phone, Grandpa? So,
Thank you, next.
and so last week, I was busy moving my mother into long-term care, so I couldn't watch him. And my husband went up and, wasn't thinking too much about anything. And on Friday, I got a package. And Glenn goes, oh, you got a package. I go, I didn't order anything. Later on, I open it up, and I called Glenn into the kitchen. I said, did you order this? And he goes, no. I said, well, I didn't order it. So I went on Amazon, on the accounts. Sure enough, there it was. And he said, when was that ordered? I said, yesterday. Okay, the 4-year-old ordered a set of, I think it's Marvel comic figures.
4 years old.
And,
Could have been worse.
well, it was his birthday, so I'm assuming that he ordered it for his birthday.
Well, he
So-
said, I think part of the story, when Glenn told it before, if I remember this correctly, part of the story was your grandson said to Glenn, oh, my birthday is coming up. So that's exactly right. So his brain was focused on his birthday.
And
So-
a gift.
And a gift. So never mind, I'm not going to rely on my grandparents to get me what I want. I'm going to do it myself. So he
And Glenn
did.
noticed that he was looking at all of the different Marvel
Oh,
toys.
that is funny.
Yeah.
So somehow or another,
Yeah.
One Touch, whatever it is, he's got to change the settings on
It's just a
Amazon.
credit card, it pays itself.
Well, at 4, you don't know that.
No.
Exactly.
But at
Free
4
money.
years old, and they're all technically inclined
It's
anyway.
unbelievable.
But I thought it was hilarious. Nobody should be embarrassed about it, but I was just absolutely hilarious. But be very careful, because you never know if your child is hungry.
4 years old.
And to order DoorDash.
4 years old, and he
gonna
was
say
he was
that.
able to actually place an order. I mean, I know adults that have master's degrees that can't do it. So I mean, I
4-year-old.
think that's I
like, oh my
mean
God.
that's interesting. So
See it all the time at Walgreens.
I heard that story before, and of course, the first thing I thought of was one of my grandchildren, Violet. It's the same thing. Whenever she sees me, she wants my phone. And I never thought about this. I mean, now I'm going to have to really think about giving her that phone.
Yeah, but she may be trained to ask permission, but the 4-year-old was not. Not that that's a reflection on parenting styles.
I don't think it would occur to Violet to order anything, but you never know. So now I'm warned here.
Yeah, so
right.
make sure everybody out there.
Right.
Like I said, I thought it was amused. I was thoroughly amused at the whole thing. I mean, I wasn't angry about
Now,
any of it.
But here's the thing. Now, is he going to get the?
He did. Glenn
Okay,
brought it
all
to
right.
him.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, he was very
What a
happy.
nice guy.
He was very happy. I had already given him gifts.
That's
I don't
funny.
think he liked it. Whatever it was that we had was a little car thing that moves on its own, and it was Spider-Man because he likes Spider-Man stuff. And I mean, I just thought it was funny. I figured I just had to share it because
Wait till this kid is 10. You're not going to be able to keep up with him.
well, that's like with the rest of them. So we won't go into
That's when you
that.
throw them a gift card, have fun.
Yeah.
Well,
Make sure there's a limit on it.
Well, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, it's not a charge card; it's a gift
Yeah.
card. So you wear some other hats. Anything else going on in town that you'd like to share? You are on Conservation Commission. We were talking about the
Yeah.
open meeting law when you were sitting at the couch just before the 7 o'clock time frame. And with regard to taking attendance at meetings to make sure that the people are there that you invited, and anybody that might be there that you didn't want is because it wasn't an open meeting for that. But do you have any stories to share or anything? Because you take a lot of minutes.
I do. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, as far as attendance goes, it's like the presenters, I will tend to list in attendance, or they end up in the body of the document. It's like so-and-so is representing this one. It's usually right in the agenda, so a lot of that's pretty easy. The biggest challenge for me is some of this technical stuff that's coming out at a lot of these meetings.
Right.
I was at a planning board meeting last night, and they're talking about zoning, and I'm like, thank God I do not do these minutes, because I don't even know how I would put this on paper, because I just
That's a good point.
could not understand what the heck they were talking about.
That is a good point.
I mean, sometimes you could tell when I'm bluffing my way through, because I just don't understand the jargon. But,
If it's exactly right. So I'm chairman of the Board of Assessors, and we don't have a stenographer, so I actually do the minutes.
right, and you know what you're talking about, but the general public might not.
And you know what? But I'm glad you brought that up, because sometimes I get aggravated that I have to take my own minutes. Because, you're running a meeting and you're trying to take,
hard.
it's not an easy thing to do.
Right.
And I've put some protocols in place, to help me with that. But that's a good point. When the minutes are written, I understand what's being talked about, and I understand the law and the technicalities. So, yeah, it's probably a lot easier for me to do it than it would be to bring in a stenographer, because we'd have to stop and explain things and say, okay, well, this means
I know
this and
there's
this
like
means
AI
that.
programs that are
Yeah.
starting to do those documents. I
But,
don't know how well they work.
Well, again, it depends.
I
And-
might be retiring.
And I've seen meetings where the AI has done the minutes, and I've read the minutes, and it's pretty good. I mean, I think it gets it right most of the time, but a lot of times when you're reviewing the minutes in the following meeting or two meetings later, because they have to be approved, there'll be a lot of corrections, because of things that AI didn't
Pick up on.
and so forth. But yeah, it's tough.
Sam, can you read this one?
Yes, little ones can also order from Alexa, too. Keep that in mind as well. Any of those devices need the parental or the grandparent code installed, so you're telling me something I don't know. So apparently you can do that. I mean, you can go on your phone and you can put in a parental code. Is that right?
I would imagine.
All right.
You
would have
can
to.
determine what they watch on any of
Well,
the
okay,
devices.
you're
You do
right.
have locks.
That's right.
The
That's
nice
right.
thing about Alexa is this. Alexa, what time is it in London? Whoever has an Alexa out there, they're all answering me.
And let's hope it's the same answer.
I don't want any of that because I don't need them listening. We have enough devices in the house
I
that,
love it when we had it, but my granddaughter Morgan, when she'd come over after school, and Nana would be helping her with her homework. When Nana would go to the other room, she'd ask Alexa for the answers.
One thing
children are not stupid.
thing I
Morgan
wa-
is smart kid. She's not little, but she's taller than me. Smart kiddo.
One thing
Just turned 12.
One thing I want to say before we leave the minutes thing. Vivian, and I'm not saying this just because you're here. I'm saying it because I feel it. Vivian is one of the better stenographers in the town. And when I was on the select board, you were our steno for 2 years, I think. And the minutes were perfect. I mean, and she does an excellent job. And you're still doing the town meeting.
I do I'm the amendment secretary at town meeting.
Oh, you just do okay,
Yeah.
so you're doing the amendments. Well, that's pretty important, because sometimes that can get screwed up, and that gets confusing.
Yeah.
But your minutes are very complete, and they're very detailed and well-written, very easy to follow.
Vivian's one of my favorite insurance persons. So Vivian,
That's why I knew he was going to start on this.
There you
because,
go.
We're done with the holiday prelude, right? We're done with minutes.
Minutes, now
Okay.
the insurance.
Okay, go
putting
ahead,
on,
John.
putting on
10
your,
minutes.
your insurance hat. 2025, April. What new things are out there? What are insurance companies trying to swim away from? What coverage do you think you should have on
I
your
would say
car?
the biggest thing I'm seeing now is people looking at their costs and going, are you kidding me? And that's the nice way of putting it.
There you go.
Everybody is shopping their rates, for better or for worse. A
What-
lot of people are starting to self-insure more stuff.
What are you
They're
seeing for general rate increases roughly on a car insurance versus prior year?
Anywhere from $300 to $600
Wow.
a year.
Well,
The
now,
home,
is this-
it could be more.
That's
How much a loss of, I have one insurance acquaintance of mine, Bellyache, that he had to put the rates up because Morgan & Morgan gets too much money for their clients. Do you hear any of that
That's
rhetoric?
one of
in-
many factors. I mean, you've got a lot of environmental factors. You've
Hmm.
got claim frequency, you've got claim severity, you've got those extra costs like your attorneys and things like that. It's a crapshoot. Newer cars are incredibly expensive to insure because they're so technologically advanced compared to older vehicles. And you've got trying to get the parts problems. You've got delays where your rental costs ends up being increased astronomically because you can't find the parts to fix this thing. Cars in the shop all torn up.
Yeah, we don't have that
On the homeowner
problem.
side, you've got problems trying to find contractors because they're all losing their minds doing all kinds of things.
So, but let me back up. I'll ask the question again, okay? What coverage should I be getting now that I never had to have before?
Is there anything new?
So in other words, you buy a homeowner's policy, and you think, well, the roof's included with that, the pipes are included with that.
Sure.
What are insurance companies excluding that you should make sure is included rather than excluded?
Good question.
Probably a lot of your cyber protections, because everybody's online, so there is a limited amount of what they call identity fraud and cyber protection. You've got a lot more electronic stuff like monitoring your home. Different carriers have
the
different
Ring
opinions
camera and
on
all that good stuff, yeah.
Yeah, you've got a lot more like heated floors and green technologies and stuff. You want to make sure that your company is aware of that and that they're willing to do that.
Would that be a separate policy, or would it be a rider on a homeowner's?
No, it should just be part of the reconstruction costs, but
Okay.
we had an issue with one company where this home was being built and they had heated floors in the bathroom and the garage. Company didn't want to write it because they had bad claims experience with it.
Radiant
And it's like
heat?
that,
Yeah.
radiant flooring. And, I mean, back when they were using copper pipes, that was a big problem, but now they're using more PVC stuff, so it's not as much of a problem, so not as many carriers are balking at it. Yeah, you got situations where people are trying to run businesses out of their homes. You want to make sure your carrier is aware of that, because there's a lot of exclusions for that.
Good point.
If you've got a lot of high-priced jewelry or pieces of art or things like that, you may want to consider doing some kind of a schedule.
Well, Viv, what would be good proof? Like, to me, I'll take a video of my house once in a while, walk around, okay,
Great
this
idea.
is this,
Good
this
idea.
is that.
Yeah.
And people just don't do that. Because how do you
They don't.
prove you really did have a big screen TV?
A lot of people just go through their phone and there's a picture of it somewhere. It's like somebody's face on it, but there's, a lot of the times they do have pictures and they're not even thinking that way.
But especially like if you have a house up north or whatever, you should just walk around, videotape everything, open all the
Excellent,
drawers.
Excellent.
Good idea. Good
Yes.
idea.
Video doesn't lie.
And when you do the video, you do not say, this was my grandmother's, this was my aunt's, this was my uncle's. You don't try to estimate what the value is unless you
Be
have a
careful of
receipt
the
in front of it.
narration.
Yes, you have to be very cautious about that, because that was one of the things, I don't know how many decades ago, to forewarn, my mother did something, and I read articles about it, and it says, whatever you do, don't do stuff like that, because you didn't pay for it, so what's the value of it? It's mostly sentimental, and the insurance company wouldn't give you anything for whatever those items were.
I mean, obsolete things, they're not going to be able to value them anyway.
Well, that depends on what it is. If you have
Yeah.
antique items and you can actually document what they are, you don't have to say, unless you have a receipt, you don't have to say where you got it from. I mean, I have Victrolas. You can't replace those,
You have
obviously.
Victrolas?
A
Yeah.
Victrola, yeah, it's a
Tell
wind-up,
the audience what a Victrola is.
it's a wind-up
Record
record
player.
player. It uses steel needles, and
Wow.
usually they're 78s.
Yeah. Yeah.
And 78 records are very thick.
That's the speed of your
And
record.
heavy.
Yeah, 78 RPMs. But anyway, yeah, they're heavy. And so, I mean, I inherited all of that stuff, but there are a few things that we do have that had been purchased. And, I mean, I have a notebook, but if I have a fire, it's gonna be gone. I kept all of the receipts of all the stuff that I ever bought off eBay. So, yeah, I printed it out. This was a long time ago, and made sure that I had that, so if I ever lost it, it got ruined, I wanted to sell it, I knew what, I could look up whatever it was for
So it
tax
begs the
purposes.
question, which Victrola do you have?
I have.
You
see,
got this one, you
I
got this
ha-
one? Which-
Wait, start with the first one that you did, the one in the middle.
Box?
I have one similar to that.
What,
Okay,
$93?
well,
That's a
mine's better, mine's older.
Is that a-
That's
is
a
that-
real one.
that's a
I mean,
replication.
that's a
Yeah.
repro. But now go to the one,
Look it over here.
Wait a minute,
You
nope.
got this one, $1,100.
Wow.
can you click on that to make it bigger?
The $1,100 one?
Yes.
Let me get to him. I'll see if I can
Oh, wow.
shrink it up. Nope. Can't
That looks
shrink
like an antique,
it.
though.
it. Slide up
Well, it
some
did.
more.
It says early 1900s. I have
Yeah.
one that looks like that.
Wow, look at that woodwork.
Does it work?
I don't know. I never tried it. My parents had it in their garage. Looks just
Oh,
like
there-
that.
Crank
there's-
on the side.
Yes.
There's the handle.
Yep, you crank it up, and then, obviously.
Don't
yep.
need electricity.
This
Yeah.
is in really good shape.
Well, that looks
back
like
then.
that's oak. I don't know if mine's oak because it's darker. And there's also a place that you can put all the
Boy, that thing
records.
must be heavy, huh?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, if it's oak, it's heavy.
It's
The
not
size
on
of
wheels.
it is
I don't think it's on
Going
wheels.
back to the other ones. Okay, continue.
So anyway, that's what a Victrola looks like.
So you have one of these.
I have something that looks like that, yes.
Okay.
Came from Glenn's grandmother.
How about this puppy?
I don't know, tap
like
it.
the other
I
one.
can't see it very well. That's like the other one that was $1,100. Yeah, that's what it looks like on
That's
the
a beauty.
inside.
Look at the little cubby holes it has.
That might be a little newer, though, right?
That's
Look-
$2,500.
No, it's $2,500.
Yeah. Any date on there, does it say?
Jeez, I was gonna give it away. I think I won't.
No, don't do that.
They
be
usually
worth
are the early 1900s. I
So
don't have,
Vivian, how would I get this insured?
You'd have to get it appraised. And
And
there'd
have
be
a letter.
document, and then we would set up a schedule for it.
So we need documentation. I have
Yeah.
this.
Yes.
yeah.
And the expert says it's worth $2,500. So I have to have that in writing.
And you
I have to
list it
tell
on
you,
schedules.
my insurance agent. Gotcha.
It's not worth it for me to do that. I tried that once and added up how much it
Yeah.
would cost over a period of time. If nothing ever happened, I could buy more.
Going back to the other Victrolas. Anything else you want to showcase here, Rev?
No.
Okay, back to you guys. Thanks.
All right, the only other fun thing that's happening in
90
the
seconds.
insurance world is that the Mass Property Program has a $1 million limit on their policies. So if your home is worth more than $1 million, and a lot of these places on the Cape and up in Gloucester and all that are worth way more than $1 million, you have the option to get what they call an excess lines policy to cover anything over $1 million. So they're seeing that more and more.
Well, we're running out of time. Thank you so much. We'll have you
Cheers.
back. And, we lost video on our screen here. Thanks, Sam, for getting
Well,
up
you're still
extra
out there.
special early.
You're still out there.
And we wish Bob well. We'll probably see him next week. John
Hope
Moses
so.
will be on next week. And I hope everybody has a safe day. And thank you for joining us this morning. And we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
I'm trying to look up tomorrow. But tomorrow we got Cliff, Eileen, Melanie Gilbert. Somebody else is coming too. I forget. But that's tomorrow, City Life. See you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Here's some more of the Greek independence flag raising.
City councilors, elected officials, boys and girls of the Hellenic American Academy, parents, grandparents, teachers, friends. Today we celebrate 204 years of the beginning of the Greek Revolution. Our ancestors fought, and many of them died for freedom. Greece is one of the three allies of the United States. Three of the allies forever. with the United States. And we're proud. We're proud to be Americans of Greek descent. Thank you for coming today here, but more better, we have two children from the Hellenic American that are going to tell us a little bit more. At this time, I ask Zacharias Iliadis. Before Zacharias starts, and I want to release the Lowell High School band, that we thank them. The director, George, thank you very much once again. We're going to start with the American National Anthem.